Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to a Tin Dog podcast. This week we're going to be talking about 3 specific Sarah Jane Smith stories, being story 2, 3 and 4 from this current series. Yes, I know most podcasters have kind of fixated on the death of the Doctor, being story number 3, but I'd like to cover every single story in the series. Next week I should be covering story number 5, as well as reviewing the Cybermen second series from Big Finish, which I've been enjoying enormously. But we're not here to talk about Cybermen just now. No, we're here to talk about Sarah Jane Smith's adventures. So far this series, we've now got no dog, and we've got no son. Yes, Sarah Jane Smith's son's now, well, at Oxford, solving crimes with Lewis, in an Inspector Morse kind of spin-offy kind of a way. I'm sure I made that joke last time, so let's not go there. Suffice to say that the core group now consists of Sarah Jane Smith, Clyde and Rani.
It's you! Wait till B.U.R.P.S. hear about this! They'll kill my mum.
But we will save your planet.
You want to get a new motor, mate?
Thank you. I'll take this one.
You mean if something's going to happen, it's going to happen? You don't need my mum. You can take me.
Will you still help me when the rebirth of my civilization means the end of yours?
This first story that I'll be talking about marks the return of the villain from the beginning of the last series, the one with the nanotech and the evil Sarah Jane Smith. He's a body jumper, basically a Zygon for the 21st century. He's the last of his kind, and aren't they always? And in this story, he's returned to Earth to try and find his way into a secret vault that contains the last of his people. It's always the last. It's never, I just wouldn't mind getting into a vault. He's dying and would like redemption. Ah yes, good old themes that we like to return to. I've made this argument before, that Sarah Jane Smith is actually the most backwards-looking of all of the Doctor Who franchises. It deals with its own history as well as the history of the original Doctor Who series in so much more depth than New Who ever does. Sarah Jane Smith is also about consequences, so much more than Doctor Who ever could be, because the characters are stuck on Earth. Literally, when I come to the third story I'll be talking about, but for that I'm getting ahead of myself. Here we also have a return of a group of characters who've only previously been seen in an animated Doctor Who, Dreamlands, the Men in Black. Yes, there's some nice throwaway lines about Will Smith, but these are the Men in Black of myth, the androids who are here to protect Earth almost from itself. Yes, basically they're skinny Mr. Smith lookalikes from The Matrix, but that's fine. You get some lovely removable hand moments that just show you how much you can achieve these days on a TV budget using Addams Family style effects. Yes, there's the UFO research group that bears more than a striking resemblance to Linda, but we don't like going there. No, here we have a very nice tale of redemption and betrayal, using a costume they had lying around, and a character that wasn't quite as well developed last time as it could have been. The UFO research group, I'm sure, will be making a return at some point. They're just too rich a seam of comedy not to mine again. Mr. Dread, the Man in Black's manager, I guess you'd call him, was a great character, and one that I'd like to see back again. The hyperspace vault, yes, I know it bears more than a passing resemblance to a Magrathian factory floor, but don't hold that against it. A door that leads to a room that's bigger on the inside really is the territory of Doctor Who after all. And so we leave that story and head swiftly over to the sound of the internet melting, although strictly speaking, that's not what happened. Here's the trailer for the death of the Doctor.
The Doctor is dead. Units will take charge of the funeral in conjunction with the Shanshis.
It's Joe Grant.
It's a long time since I've been called out.
Steady, getting closer.
No.
Closer and closer.
It's the Shanshi. This whole thing's a trap.
Base is taken. Sir, gosh, that was different. Hello, everyone.
Sounds like a countdown. Run! Clear this place. Seal it off. Keep that lot trapped.
The memory weave is ready. Not even the Doctor will be able to stop the crusade of the Shan Sheaf.
Faster, faster, faster! They're trying to boil us! We're coming!
That's what this is all about. The TARDIS. And you.
They've stopped.
The key. It takes shape.
Sarah Jane, try to think of something else.
I can't! Neither can I!
Now, a lot has been made of a throwaway line in episode 2, and that I'll cover in a moment. It is, after all, more than simply an elephant in the room. No, the story itself is this series' Doctor Heavy story, if you see what I mean. More important than having Matt Smith turn up in it, and let's face it, he's mainly in episode 2, just like the David Tennant Doctor Who story. We have the return of Jo Jones, formerly Miss Josephine Grant. Yes, now that she's called Jones, we get to have, well, the Smith and Jones gags. And who's going to get tired of those? Yes, there are people out there who get annoyed that certain bits of fan fiction have been ignored. Hell, certain Easter eggs and stuff that's been hinted at on the Green Death DVD boxed set, like the divorce of Jo, is just ignored, and rightly so in my opinion. Jo is an adventurer, and her character development is glorious to behold. Yes, she's got older, and there are throwaway lines to talk about that. Yes, there's more of the actress than the original character here, but I'm not exactly going to kick off about that. If a handful of kids go out and find a copy of Green Death or the Peladon stories, well, I'm not going to argue. It was lovely to see the 4th Doctor and the 3rd Doctor so heavily featured in a way that you just simply wouldn't get in TV on a Saturday evening with the 11th Doctor. Yes, the Sanshi, the large vulture-type aliens, do have a bit of a Skeksis feel, but that's hardly a problem. At least no one's going around calling them Big Bird. They're nicely realised, and I've got no major issues with them. Carrion creatures that are evolved from vultures, well, I'm sure we can live with. And let's face it, that's the way that most New Who goes. They find a creature and just evolve it. They don't bother coming up with something that's terribly alien, which I'm sure is a way that we would have gone many years ago. It's a nice little story. The Doctor's death's been faked in order to get their hands on the TARDIS. They need some past companions in order to bring about something derived from their memories. Let's face it, I don't really want to spoil things here, but I do want to talk about the stories. The kids' development is as good as ever, but let's face it, we're only listening to this review in order to find out my opinion on the 507. You see, while crawling along a corridor, Clyde talks to the Doctor about his regeneration and asks him rather flippantly how many times he can regenerate, and an off-the-cuff remark, the 11th Doctor, flippantly, like he says so many other times, says 507. This has been reported in various types of media that the Doctor is now immortal and that established history in the TV programme has been rewritten. There's a few things worth commenting on. RTD has pointed out something that never ever occurred to me, because it was just so obvious. In every other form of TV or film, all characters can lie. They can say something and it is taken as read by the audience that it is true. A lying character is an odd character, and this is played to many strengths. For example, in Babylon 5, when things said by one character later discovered to not be true. However, in the past, Doctor Who has established that you can regenerate if you're a Time Lord 12 times. Not only was this established in The Deadly Assassin, but also it's gone into even more depth at various other points. Things like the 5th Doctor giving up his reigning regenerations in order to save the crew in Modern Undead. But it's not quite that simple. You see, I don't think that the current Doctor is really regeneration number 11. There are several things that led me to believe this, apart from the fact that the entire universe has simply been recreated and re-engineered at the end of the last story, just before Amy's wedding. Thus meaning we're presented with a brand new Doctor at regeneration number 1. Similarly, during the Time War, the chances are Rassilon used his powers of immortality in order to grant those to the entirety of the Time Lord race. It fits in with the way the series has gone. It doesn't mess about with past continuity, and it does mean that Rassilon would have had a race of immortal Time Lords in order to fight the Daleks, which would have been kind of useful in wartime. Again, something to do with the Chameleon Arch, resetting Time Lord DNA. You're at, say, regeneration number 10, or, yes, I know, 9, You become human. You then go back to being a Time Lord. Are you still at regeneration number 10 or 9? Or are you back at number 1? Again, Time Lord, Time War technology. These things have been gone into in the new series and could be used to explain away any discrepancy and allow the series to continue. Don't bother messing with it. It's not important. It's not a problem. Just let it go. Just let it go. Because barring accidents, Time Lords can live forever, said the second Doctor. And let's put it this way. Would you rather the series continued? Or at some point between the 11th and 12th regeneration, you get the Valiard, you get someone else, and then you get a cancelled series? I think I know where we're all going to vote. So let's all let it go. Let's not think about it or concentrate on it, and let's just let it lie. Moving on from this point, we have the next story. The Empty World.
What's happened?
Where's Sarah Jane?
Where's everybody?
It's the whole world.
Everybody's gone.
What about Mr. Smith?
Well, he's gone blank. Like he's not even in there anymore. What if it's just the two of us left in the whole wide world?
There!
What is that?
It's on every screen.
This is a character piece with some lovely, identifiable motivation and following through. Things that have been talked about elsewhere are brought back. It's one of those stories that's difficult to talk about without giving away spoilers. Suffice to say that two, i.e. Clyde and Rani, characters wake up to discover the rest of the world has vanished. Well, everyone else in it. But there are no crashes and not the sort of thing that you saw in Flash Forward. Basically, all the people have gone. And then two robots turn up, a yellow one and a red one. And the mystery as to why those two people have been left on Earth kind of annoyed me for the entirety of time between the first and second episodes. I know normally I watch them all back to back, but I just couldn't help myself because I'm enjoying this series so much. When you eventually do find out why they've been left on Earth, I, for one, was a bit surprised that I hadn't figured it out myself in the first place. Yes, the sewing up of the story in itself does make the whole thing feel more like a short trip or a short story, but it doesn't feel overly padded, which this story so easily could have. It's not a stand-out tale, but it does have some great moments. This has been a very strong season so far, and there are still 2 stories left, a time travel one and a one to finish off the series itself. Series 5 is also in production, and that's something I'm looking forward to next year. Now, I know that the competition to win the Michael Moorcock book has closed, but I haven't drawn the competition yet on the grounds that I have to write down everybody's email address, put it in a hat, and get somebody else to draw one out. So next time, I'll be announcing exactly who's won. This time, however, there'll be a Whostrology reading.
I'd like to introduce you to a new podcast, Adventures in Time, Space, and Music. In this podcast segment, we'll sample music from the almost 50-year history of Doctor Who, discussing the technical minutiae involved in the music, how it relates to the story, as well as explore the varied composers and musicians who have worked on the show. If we're lucky, we'll even have some special guests stop in the TARDIS cloisters to reflect on scores from the current and past eras of the show, as well as celebrate the work of these oft-unsung heroes. A brief bit about me. My name is Dr. Philip Cerna. You can call me Dr. Phil, as many of my colleagues, friends, and students do. I'm a performer and teacher here in the Chicago area, where I received my master and doctoral degrees in music at Northwestern University. On double bass, I perform solo, chamber, orchestral, and contemporary literature. I'm also a performer of early music, on viols or violas da gamba, a family of bowed guitars that were popular in Europe from the 15th through late 18th centuries. I became interested in Doctor Who in the 1980s and hope that my musical background will help me give something back to the show I've loved ever since. I hope that you'll join me on this journey through the rich and varied musical history of Doctor Who. Let's start our adventures together, shall we?
And there'll be Whostrology readings for the next few weeks. Remember, if you'd like to own your own Whostrology in order to keep the Tin Dog podcast running, simply follow the link on the main page. Also, if you'd like to donate any amount of money whatsoever, and let's face it, you've no idea how skint I am right now, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. But enough of all that. What you want to hear is the Who-strology readings. This Who-strology is for Graham Sheridan, born on the 18th of March 1972, born in the time of the Third Doctor with Joe and Unit. Born on the anniversary of the broadcast of the Macra Part 2, and on the day Sea Devils Part 4 was broadcast. You share your birthday with Courtney Pine and Sophia Miles. Your Who-strology, a water sign. Beware a man with a beard. You live a life of odd noises and random children's television. Deciding which strangers to trust is a challenge in itself. Sailors may play an important role in your life. Don't forget, just because someone has a nice office doesn't mean that they are in charge. A random lizard has overslept and will love your new sound system. Beneath the surface, something nasty waits. There'll be more Who-strology next time, but until then, be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.
There's lots of Joe Grants out there. You know, like the Doctor's old companions.
I do a little search sometimes.
What's your Google? TARDIS?
Hey, it works. Well, no, I can't be sure, but there's a woman called Tegan in Australia fighting for Aboriginal rights. There's Ben and Polly in India running an orphanage there. Oh, there was Harry. Oh, I loved Harry. He was a doctor. He did such good work with vaccines. He saved thousands of lives. Oh, there's a Dorothy something. She runs that company, a charitable Earth. She's raised billions. And this couple in Cambridge, both professors, Ian and Barbara Chesterton. Rumour has it, they've never aged. Not since the 60s. I wonder.
That'll be us one day.
Still out there, fighting.
Echoes of the Doctor all over the world. With friends like us, he's never going to die, is he?